Welcome to another live stream sponsored by EVNX. Right now it's Sunday noon. I decided to try something different and just kind of get it out of the way before we go on with our Sunday. I'm sure everyone's got exciting plans. So today is the end of the week, end of a very tough week, and I'm kind of wondering, was this the worst week for electric cars? And not just for Tesla, I mean just for electric cars. I'm going to let you know what I think in just a second, but I just want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments or in the chat so I know what your opinion about this is. But first, let's recap what really happened, because not all of it was bad. So let's start with some, good news. The first good news is that we got to see the actual picture of the semi-truck that's not as dark. We still don't see the whole thing, but it really is kind of coming together, and with the unveiling event invitations going out, this thing is happening for sure. As you know, it's been pushed twice, so that means that this is it. And of course, we're all anticipating to see what other thing that they're going to unveil along with the truck, because Elon hinted that there might be something else, so everyone's really excited about that. But now let's get to the quarterly report that Tesla came up with this week, and there was some good news that they had in there, because they did sell record number of Model S and Model X's. The revenues were great, but the loss per share was much worse than anticipated, and that's actually is one of the bigger news for Tesla that was not good this week, because it's about 20% more than they expected. I think they expected $2.29 per share loss. It ended up being $2.92 per share loss. But that wasn't the worst news. They updated the numbers for the Model 3, and the numbers for Model 3 were already pretty bad, but they said that they were actually a little bit worse. They said 260 Model 3s were delivered out of 1,630 they promised for Q3, but it ended up being actually 222. So that's obviously an underachievement of the underachievement. That the worst news of the week, for the Tesla at least, was the fact that they're now realizing that and admitting that they're just not going to be able to ramp up their production by December to produce 5,000 cars per week, and that's what they kind of promised us at the unveiling. So that's and everyone who has a reservation and had this estimator that we were using telling us that we're going to get the Model 3 in a certain time window, it all moved up 1 month. On the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad, but Tesla is saying that they're going to try to reach their goal of 20,000 Model 3 cars made per month by the end of the first quarter. So we're talking about March. So they're moving their goal 3 months ahead, but the deliveries are only pushed down, I guess, 1 month. So that's not bad. So overall, the stock kind of took a big tumble. I believe it's under $300 per share right now. And not that I believe that stock is a good indication of what's really happening with the company, but at the same time, it's not really good, but we'll see. Maybe people will jump on it and start buying it and start going up. And of course, the other news of the week, and this is still in works, but as GOP unveiled their tax plan, it became obvious that they are going to kill, or at least trying to kill, the $7,500 federal tax incentive here in America, and that's a big deal. As I mentioned before, I don't think it's that big of a deal for Model S or Model X, because they're pretty expensive cars. And for the upcoming Mission E by Porsche and even the Jaguar I-Pace, I think those are okay. But for cars like, let's say Chevy Bolt, right, or even Nissan Leaf, actually it's going to affect the new Nissan Leaf even more, because if you think about it, they're starting at $30,000. If you were going to receive $7,500, that's literally 25% off the car. Well, you're definitely going to notice when it's gone. So that's going to hit the cars like Nissan Leaf and other cars that are coming out in the next year or two the hardest. And of course, the companies like Ford and Toyota, whatever the company is going to come up with their cars in the next couple of years, are just going to completely miss out on this. So it is tough to say whether or not this bill is actually going to pass, because, you know, as we know, so far GOP and Trump haven't gotten along. They weren't able to get any kind of important legislation done. We know that the healthcare bill has failed multiple times, and they kind of had to move on. I don't know if they're more on the same page now. Of course, we don't know. They're trying to get it passed by Christmas. But if this is going to happen, at least this provision is going to stay in that bill, we're all going to lose a $7,500 incentive. And this is where a lot of people are you know, predicting that this is going to make it very tough on the entire electric car industry. So you guys in the chat right now, let me know, yay or nay as far as the toughest week so far for electric cars. Now, here's what I think as far as, you know, whether or not it's true. Now, let's not forget that for Tesla, as far as Tesla is concerned, we are talking about the record numbers. Every quarter they're doing better and better and better. They're definitely doing better than the same time last year. So that's really good. Let's not forget that they have promised us that they're just going to start the production of Model 3s at the end of this year, and they actually started it in July. So they're ahead of themselves from what they were talking about just a year ago. Now they've now kind of behind of themselves as they made all these promises, but nevertheless, Model 3s are on the road. This revolution has really started. We can see them that they're actually making them. It's just a matter of time that they're going to ramp up the production. It's not their first car. They're definitely going to make sure that they know how to do this. I know they're still saying that, well, you know, this is a new car with you know, there's much more automation, but we know that Tesla can do it. There's no doubt about it. So they're doing it, and it seems like the delay is really no one's going to remember the delay that much once they're really cranking these cars out at its maximum capacity and they're being sold, and people are going to love the car. As far as the $7,500 incentives, I think that's going to hit the market kind of hard, especially for the next year or so. I'm still hoping that the GOP is not going to be able to pass it, but that's just, I think it's not just as it's not going to be as problematic as a healthcare. So I think because they're a little bit more on the same page with Trump on that, and they really now want to pass something, I have a feeling that this might actually fly. And it's not like people are going to go, you know, take it to the streets when the $7,500 tax incentive is being taken away for the cars that are really being sold at 1% rate in this country. And remember, there's only 1% of all cars that are being sold are actual electric. So you know, if it passes, the whole bill passes, I can see this still being in there, and it's going to hurt. So let's be real. It's not going to hurt, just like I mentioned, you know, higher end models, but it's going to hurt Model 3 sales. It's going to hurt Chevy Bolt and Leaf and other car sales. So that's not really good, though. The only thing, if I have to say, the positive thing that I have to say about this is if this is really going to happen, then I hope it's going to force the manufacturers to make the electric cars that much better, because, you know, they can sell them cheaper because of incentive, but they will hopefully make them better than gas cars, and that will just force this whole electric car movement move forward much faster. And that's what I'm hoping for if the $7,500 credit incentive credit tax credit, well, I can't say anything today, tax credit is going to be taken away. So I'm kind of optimistic. I think this is, I'm going to say yes to, as a few, I can see a few people in the chat room are saying that yes, this has been the worst week of 2017 for the electric car movement and Tesla, but I think it's all very recoverable and tentative, right? It's, you know, we'll see how Model 3 is going to do. We'll see what $7,500 tax incentive is going to happen to it. And also don't forget, states like California are already looking at increasing the rebates that they have. Right now we have a $2,500 rebate in the state of California. They've been considering maybe upping it to $10,000. I think they're not going to do it to 10. I think 5 would be a little bit more realistic, but this is something they're working on. This is something that's hopefully they're going to pick up the slack for the federal government that might take it away. Jan says, in Slovakia we have incentive only of 4,000 euros and car must be sold from Slovak dealership and must be cheaper than 60,000 euros. This means no incentive for Tesla in Slovakia. Well, that's very unfortunate. I kind of, you know, let's be fair. We have to say that, if you're buying, if you can afford a $70,000 to $140,000 car, do you really need an incentive? I think this is, I'm not 100% on board with that argument, but I'm just saying there is an argument for that. I think the incentive should be for people who are struggling to buy a car, to buy an electric car, and they just need that extra push to give them an incentive to buy it. And I think this, $7,500 on a $30,000, $40,000 car is a lot of money, and it's actually bringing more consumers to the market where, whether or not I'm going to get a 10% off of a $80,000 or $90,000 Tesla, it doesn't probably not going to sway me one way or another. So there's something to it there. So maybe they're doing it right there in Slovakia. I mean, it's unfortunate for you. I'm assuming you want to buy the car, Jan, but I think that there is some logic to it. Bob says the tax bill will not go through in the current form. There are a good possibility that if any bill passes, the deduction will not survive unless GM puts its thumb on the scales. Well, yes, they're already making changes to the bill, and it's we don't know what's going to happen to it. And then, don't forget, there are going to be two versions between the House and the Senate. And so, yes, it's a long way to go. But just the fact that they want to do it, right? The fact that they want to do it, it's in there. It makes it a bad week. It's putting this in jeopardy because now it's on the table. I did a video in the beginning of this year saying, hey, this is not going to happen, even with Trump being president, because guess who passed the original $7,500 tax credit, and it's supposed to go all the way to 2019, I believe. Our Congress. So why would they go back and completely reverse themselves? Well, I guess in the Trump year, anything's possible, and now they're reversing themselves. It's hard to predict, and I know they're trying to get it done by December, by Christmas, because they want to have it as a gift to American people, which is actually funny, by taking the money away. If anything, we remember all these commercials with the cars with bows, right? The biggest gift you can give to your spouse or kid, and they're kind of taking an ability away from that. So it's a little funny. But John Doe says Tesla will just sell more Model 3s everywhere else if the $7,500 incentive goes away. Well, yes, obviously there's a huge market for Model 3 everywhere, Europe and of course China. China is really becoming a major market for not just Model 3s, but all electric cars. They're pushing really hard for it, and I definitely see that the sales being there much higher. And yes, they will probably start selling it better in Europe. But don't forget, in China, the Tesla costs 50% more than if you were to buy the same car in here because of the tariffs. Now, Tesla, it looks like, struck a deal with Chinese government to create a wholly owned factory in China. And I'll tell you why wholly owned is good, because right now, most companies, when they want to do business in China, they have to partner up with a Chinese a company and create a joint venture, which a lot of companies are kind of hesitant to do because they have to share secrets and patents, and a lot of times those patents get borrowed by Chinese companies, and there goes your technology. But looks like Tesla going to have its own factory where they don't have to partner up with anybody, and it's probably 3 years away, but the tariff is still going to stay. So even though they're going to be making those companies in China, the 25% tariff is going to stay. So don't forget that Model 3s are much more expensive in China than they are here. Silver GT is asking, is it too early to start talking about the Model Y? Well, we'll find out on the 16th, because there are some people who think that maybe they will announce something else about the Model Y, because after all, Elon said that Model Y will be the most demanded car of Tesla ever made, including the Model 3. And remember how originally they were trying to do Model Y on as a completely build it from ground up. Well, then they reversed themselves and saying, you know what, we're actually going to build it on top of the Model 3. So maybe because of that, now they can say that it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Maybe they will even unveil a prototype or something. So we'll see. But if not, then yes, I think it's way too early to talk about Model Y until the production of Model 3 is done, until the semi-truck is unveiled, and and we're kind of moving forward. But who knows? So we'll see. Okay. Mark says they will sell it in Europe and China. I'm assuming you're talking about a Model 3, and they will. and it will be unfortunate for us here in America and Canada. I don't know what they're doing with their incentives, but yeah, but don't forget, there are tariffs and taxes and a lot of other problems for the pricing of Tesla and electric cars that are coming from here to Europe. So it's not that simple. George is asking, how many superchargers so far in Czech Republic? I'm assuming, and he's also typed it in, I'm assuming in Czech there. I don't know, but I'm sure you can go to Tesla.com. They have a section for the superchargers where you can kind of check out what the existing superchargers are, where they are going to be on the map, the ones that they're building. So you can easily answer that question there. All right, well, one thing that I want to say is, this upcoming semi-truck unveiling event is probably going to cap the year for Tesla as far as big events and news is concerned. So let's see what they do there, because by the way, another thing that I think they might announce is something about the autopilot or about the supercharging network, because those are two things that are a bit of a concern right now. And maybe this is something that they're going to announce, either a faster supercharging than even now, or they're going to announce some really cool features of the autopilot, because it kind of it's falling behind a lot of other cars like Chevy Bolt. I drove a Nissan Leaf yesterday, and let me tell you, even though the self-driving feature wasn't that great on a regular road, it's there, and it's only going to improve. So before that, Nissan did not have it. Now they have it, and it's kind of full autopilot type kind of a deal, where it's staying in the lane, keeping the distance between the cars, steering for you. So people, other companies are catching up. So Tesla needs to be a little bit scared of that, because they need to move it forward. So maybe that's what's going to happen at the event they're going to announce there. So by the way, let's look at the truck. I just wanted to show you guys the truck full screen. As you can see, it definitely looks futuristic. It looks like maybe it's very similar to those spy shots that we had. I think somebody took spy shots maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's definitely going to be very cool. I have reservations about it, simply because I thought they're spreading themselves thin. But then people are telling me that people who work on the semi-truck, or as they're calling it now, just Tesla truck, they would be no help to Model 3. I don't quite believe that fully, because it's it's not like it's a very different thing. It's very similar technology. So I'm sure half of, let's say, the staff could have been working on Model 3 rather than the semi-truck. But it is what it is. It's definitely exciting, and it's good for Tesla to jump into that market anyway. Dominique is asking, when is the Nissan Leaf video coming up? I'm going to try to edit it today, so I'm going to try to post it in the next 2 or 3 days. And I'm actually not going to probably replace my live feed with it. I will just post it as a separate video, but I'll definitely let you know. I'm going to try to work on it today, but as you know, there was a lot of videotaping that I did, because I did it inside and outside, but I'm going to try to keep it short. I don't want to make it like an instructional manual video. I just wanted you guys to see my experience with this. This was really my first time in the Nissan Leaf. And just like I said, I'm pretty impressed, and this is the second time I see it, though first time me driving it. So it's definitely something that, and I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it. If maybe I didn't have a budget for the Model S, I would consider a Nissan Leaf. If I had a, I don't want to say an average salary, because I guess I have an average salary for Silicon Valley. But if I just couldn't afford a Tesla Model S or Model X, or maybe let's say if I had kids and this was something for my daughter or for my son, I would consider it. Now, let's not forget that this car still, surprisingly, does not have the active thermal management system. And for those of you who don't know what it is, it's that thing that keeps the damn battery cool, and therefore prevents it from being, from the degradation being much faster. So that's why you see so many Nissan Leafs being sold for just pennies on the dollar now, because the battery is so bad. You really have to replace it and put like $4,000 into it. Though Nikki of Transport Involved, if you've never seen that channel, check it out. She did a video about how it may just be not a bad idea to, if you're looking for a cheap electric car, used electric car, you can actually go and buy a current Leaf, if you can stand its look. I cannot. you can buy it for very cheap with a crappy battery. So we're talking about like $3,000-$4,000. Then you put another $4,000 in a brand new battery, and all of a sudden you have a pretty damn, relatively brand new Leaf, because really what else is there to break, or any kind of wear and tear on the electric motor is minimal. So if you guys have like a small budget of $7,000-$8,000 and you want kind of a brand new Nissan Leaf that they're now trying to get rid of, which is previous generation, you might just go ahead and find one of those, because there are a lot of them out there. A lot of their batteries are bad, and you can go ahead and upgrade it yourself. A little bit of work, but you're kind of going to be saving money and driving an electric car for very cheap. So yeah, I have to say I was impressed, and I think this would be definitely force reckoning with. And don't forget, next year they are going to be coming out with a longer range, which I'm going to assume over 200 miles. And also, I cannot imagine them not addressing the issue with the lack of active thermal management system. So I'm going to assume that they're working it right now, and are going to work it in maybe in a couple of years, and then they will make it a pretty damn good car with longer range and active thermal management system. I think we're going to be onto something there. So I would suggest that this is something that we should be looking forward to. All right, let's see what else. Frank says, do you think they hold back the Semi because the entrepreneurs interested in buying it will only be convinced by numbers, and the numbers are not that convincing now? Well, I'm not really sure if what numbers you're talking about. Are you talking about sales numbers or the range? Because they really haven't even announced the range of the Semi truck. The rumors were that it's between 250 and 300 miles, but then Elon tweeted and said, you guys are going to be surprised by the spec of the truck. And as I talked yesterday in my interview with Patrick, if you didn't see it, it was last night's feed. You really don't know how to tell what the real range is for a semi truck, because does it have a load at all? Does it have a heavy load or not? Does it even have a trailer hooked to it? Does it have a double trailer? So it's kind of hard to tell. I'm wondering if they're going to go by the range that it has without the trailer, and then maybe another alternative one with one. So I don't know. But at the same time, I think it got delayed because they're spread thin, because the Puerto Rico thing was happening. They're trying to obviously accommodate there, and it takes a lot of resources. They're trying to figure out what's going on with the Model 3, and just like I said, this was my concern. They're spread a little too thin. They're just spread a little too thin with this truck, and that's why they had to push it back twice. And by the way, let me know in your comments here in a live chat, and let me know if you disagree with me, because a few people do believe that this is actually going to turn out to be a pretty good, profitable part of Tesla, which, by the way, I actually don't disagree. I think it will be. I'm just not sure if the timing is right. So Predrag, I hope I pronounced your name right. It says, is the truck reveal on time on November 16th? Well, no, it's not on time, because at first it was supposed to be at the end of September. Then it was supposed to be in October 26th, which I already bought airplane tickets for, and I booked a hotel, though Tesla did reimburse me, so that was cool of them. And now it's on November 16th, but now we got invitations. It's definitely happening. Doors at 7, 8 o'clock, the event. I will be there, and I will stream live, and I'll definitely make a video for you guys. So definitely stay tuned for that. Let me go back to the Nissan Leaf for just 1 second, because George is asking me to compare a Leaf versus Model 3. He is asking if I would ever consider that over Model 3. Now, let's be very honest. Model 3 is by far the best car under 40 or 50 grand on the market, just period. Okay, there's just, I just did a video comparing a Chevy Bolt to the new Nissan Leaf, so check it out if you're interested. And in the very beginning of the video, I said I'm not going to compare either one of those cars to the Model 3, simply because Model 3 is just a better car. It's more expensive, so it technically doesn't even fit in the same price range, if you will. Its mileage is so much bigger for the higher end model, right? It's 310 versus Bolt's 238 and Nissan Leaf's 151. And on the other hand, don't forget, this is a Tesla supercharging network that you're getting. You're getting the really good self-driving features with a hardware that is capable of level 5 self-driving. So this is a completely different car. So no, I would not compare them. The only reason to take Nissan Leaf over Model 3, well, there are two. No, I'm going to go back to one, because I was going to say that the only reason is to buy the Nissan Leaf while you're waiting for Model 3. But I actually would recommend, if you have, $50,000 to invest into Model 3, I would just go with the used Model S, because you can buy those for $40,000 if you really look. I actually saw one for like 35 somewhere on Facebook. So that's what I would recommend. But the only reason I would buy a Nissan Leaf over Model 3 is because it's a much cheaper car. Let's say the incentives stay. It's going to cost you really $20,000 here in California, and I would definitely not buy it. By the way, I would lease it because of the whole battery problem. But I would only consider it if my budget would be smaller. But if my budget would be whatever, or at least a little bit higher, then I would definitely go with the Model 3. As a matter of fact, I have two Model S's right now. My girlfriend drives the second one, and I think we're gonna go, and I hope she's not watching because she doesn't really want this to happen, but I want her to have a Model 3, so we have one of each. So I'm definitely not going to consider a Nissan Leaf for her as a second car for us. I would definitely consider Model 3 or just renewing her Model S lease. So the answer is no. I would not consider it unless it's a money issue. Let's see. Dino is asking, what are the characteristics of the model? What are the chances of the BMW i3 on the market? I'm assuming you are, well, are you asking about a BMW? Oh, I don't have a graphics for it. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go back to my regular graphics here. I should have it in stock. If you're asking about i3, then I think the chances are tiny, because I mean, no one wants to buy this car. First of all, it's kind of ugly for a lot of people's taste. I think it's one of the ugliest cars on the market, besides the Nissan Leaf, the current one. At the same time, the mileage is not there. The features are not there. I think it's just going to die a slow, painful death. But BMW is supposed to unveil any minute now, really, what they're saying, even though I haven't heard anything from their press, on their press emailing list. But they're supposed to unveil the actual 3 Series with a pretty decent range. People are expecting it to be over 200 and actually start production this time next year. Now that would be kind of cool, and that will completely kill i3, I believe, because then why produce i3 when they have the technology and they maybe can go with 1 Series or 2 Series. So I think there are no chances. I think people will still buy it because it's super cheap and all the incentives and stuff like that. But as far as electric cars concerned, I don't think it has a chance in another 2 years. I would be surprised if they're even selling it. Let's see. Dino says, according to Elon, the truck will be very powerful. Well, yes, I know he said that, but what is very powerful? We don't really know, right? Because obviously, and don't forget, it's not like he hasn't overpromised before. So let's take it with a grain of salt. And we only have what is it today? 5th, right? So we only have 11 days to wait until we know everything. So let's just wait. I mean, all the speculations really probably are going to get us disappointed more, because we're going to expect more and more and more, and there's only so much they can deliver, right? Okay. Bharat Patel is saying, I'm looking for an electric van for my business. Any suggestions? I don't have a suggestion because I don't think there are too many electric vans out there. I mean, Model X can technically be converted if you remove the back seats. It also depends on what kind of business you have. Now, don't forget that actually Model X is going to be converted by Tesla to replace their current fleet of gas-powered service vans. So that's maybe something you can look into. Maybe they're going to be making them for other businesses as well, or maybe you can at least copy what they did with their I forgot the word, but how they retrofitting those Model X's, and maybe do something yourself. But as far as an actual non-Tesla reasonably priced van, I think we have some distance to go. Let's see. Predrag says Model 3 is the best over. Okay, when you guys type M3, I'm always thinking you're thinking about BMW M3. Model 3 is what I'm assuming you mean. Is better over Leaf or any other only because of the superchargers, because superchargers are the key of the car. I don't think it's the only thing, because supercharging network is definitely a big deal, but at the same time, don't forget, it's just a better car. I mean, it's got the self-driving features, it's got a 2.5 autopilot. Think of it what you win, but in another year it's going to be pretty damn good. I think it's a better looking car. I think the safety features are going to be there. The whole touch screen and the interior. I think it's just a better car on many different levels, not just because of the supercharging network. Though supercharging network is the differential no matter what when it comes to talking about Tesla. So that's just what it is. Frank says in Germany the cheapest used Model S goes for about $60,000, comparing to $85,000 for a new one. Yeah, I mean, I think because here in the United States, especially in California, you'll find more Model S cars that are cheaper when they're being sold used, just because we're the first ones to get them here, and they're getting more used now. There are more of them here, and people are more likely to renew them and buy newer versions. So, but in Europe and in China, you guys got them a little bit later than us. I think about a year later. So there's not as many of them that are used, and not as many of them with a higher mileage. So it's unfortunate that it's $60,000, which is still not a bad deal. I would suggest, but you guys gonna have to wait probably another year or two once the leases start coming back, and once they just people rack up mileage on those. So that's just what it is. Jan says BMW sold 100,000 of i3s. Yes, listen, I understand they sold a lot of them because they have their following, and really when they started selling, and still that car is priced in their price range where the Tesla cannot touch, and there is not much of other competition. Until really last few months, Chevy Bolt kind of came in on the market and now being sold all over the US and Europe. But before that, the choices for people wanting to spend $20,000-$30,000, well, $30,000 after incentives, was BMW i3, Nissan Leaf, and a few other cars here and there. So yeah, people were buying them, and don't forget, BMW discounts them as ridiculous because they just trying to get because it's a compliance car for them right now. So yes, they sold a lot, just like Nissan Leaf sold a lot of crappy Nissan Leafs that I hate, with a horrible range and an ugly body style. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to survive, because we're kind of starting a completely new game now. So I think the sales numbers are a little misleading when it comes to kind of predicting what's going to happen moving forward. George says, you did review BMW i3. You think the new 2018 i3 will be any better? Well, I did review it, and as you know, I wasn't that impressed. I mean, the only reason I was even sort of giving them benefit of the doubt is because I believe that BMW now is entering sort of a newer age where they now going to electrify their fleet. So I've been kind of giving them kudos, because i3 becomes the kind of a gateway drug for their base, for their fans. So kudos, to them for that. It's not that bad inside, I have to say. It wasn't really that bad. I felt fine. But again, the range and just the look is just yeah. But I did review it. I don't know if they're doing anything different with the 2018. I think it's a slight refresh. I'm a little behind on that. So George, maybe you can kind of let me know what's happening there. But I'm not expecting any major changes. Jay Smart is asking, which car companies are investing in charging infrastructure besides Tesla? Well, I'll tell you one, and it's Shell. Yeah, Shell, the company that sells gas. They just acquired the biggest electric charging manufacturer in Europe. And that manufacturer not only sells people's chargers like for their homes and apartments and stuff like that, they're also providing sort of a network in Europe as well of their own charger and own charging stations. So Shell is now investing into that pretty heavily. I think they paid like pretty good amount for them. So obviously they understand they gotta sort of keep up with the times, and they're the first gas company from oil company, from what I understand, to jump into it. So besides Tesla, they are. But don't forget, EVgo, ChargePoint, Blink, and there are quite a few other networks that have other investors from different parts of the electric car industry investing into them. And I'm sure there will be more. I don't think another car manufacturer is going to invest into their own like Tesla has. I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen with that, but I don't think it's going to happen. Frank says i3 goes the wrong way, looks really ugly. I agree with you, Frank, but some people do like the look. I don't understand why. I think most people who buy it just, they're not car enthusiast people. They don't care what their cars look like or what the color is or whatever. They just want to get from point A to point B, and they either wanted a cheap car or they actually wanted an electric car and they were on a budget, or they're just huge BMW fans and it was like a second toy car for them, if you will. So, but I agree with you. I think it is astounding how poorly it's designed, just as far as pleasurably looking thing, you know. I really don't know what they were thinking, but you know, hey, 100,000 in sales, right? Pridrog says Model 3 is M3 is Model. Okay, I see. He's correcting me. So yes, when you guys type M3, it is Model 3. Juan, better buy the long range Model 3 or wait for the standard range Model 3? That's a question, I guess, for me. Based on the assumptions, the 75 $100 credit will go away soon. Well, okay, so my recommendation is this. I have, one of my cars is the Model S 60, regular 60. So my realistic range is about 190 miles. And I gotta tell you guys, I have yet to have a range anxiety with that car, and I've had it for 2 years now. So, and I drive a lot. I actually drive about 30,000 miles per year. And I think it's double, even more than double of average what people drive. And so I don't even know why people need more than 200-mile range. And I've had no problems traveling it to Los Angeles. I mean, the superchargers are everywhere now, especially here in California. So I have to say that I would, unless you have some specific, unless you're a salesperson who just travels that much every day between maybe you're selling houses or something, but you travel a lot every day, then yes. But other than that, I really don't see a reason to buy a car with, you know, they're saying 310, but EPA now is saying that range is going to be 344 miles. So it's a lot. So I'm going to go with a regular range. I don't need the extended range for $9,000. If it was like a couple of extra $1,000, then why not? But I'm telling you, I just don't need the range. I drive a lot. So I'm going to go with no, but at the same time, you know, I don't know what your particular situation is. So of course it's up to you to decide, because it's a matter of math, right? What's the longest you travel in one day? And that should be probably something that you should consider, and then consider how many superchargers you have in your area, and then there's your answer, I think. Let's see. Frank says, Trevor, I'm assuming it's Trevor from the Model 3 Owners Club, reviewed i3. He thought it's just fine. Well, Trevor says a lot of things that I don't disagree with. So I don't, you know, as a matter of fact, his whole channel is about Tesla Model 3, but he doesn't even own a Tesla. So I don't quite get it, but hey, again, he's got a pretty good following. You know, I don't know what his views are on electric cars. Even though I tried watching his videos as much as I can, but I don't quite understand, like, why doesn't he own a Model S right now? He's holding off to buy a Model 3, but you can buy a Model S right now used for pretty much that same price. So if you're a big Tesla fan, why don't you just buy a Tesla right now, even though it's used? As a matter of fact, he just did a segment, I think, about a friend of his or somebody who he has met, and that person decided to opt out for a used Model S while he was waiting for the Model 3. So I have no idea why. I don't quite understand Trevor's views on the electric cars, and so, but I'm sure he has his own personal thing going on, and I know what his finances are. But yeah, listen. Bottom line, there's at least 100,000 people who thought i3 was just fine to pay money for it, right? So there will be always people who are, if there's a car out there, then there's always going to be some people who are going to like it, right? Let's see. i3 is too expensive, says Nigel. Range for the money. Well, I don't think it's fair to compare the range for the money, because it's not. Listen, if you can't get to where you need to go every day, if you can't pick up your kids, go to work, and then pick up your kids again without running out of juice, then who cares how much each mile is costing you? We're talking about whether or not it fits your lifestyle. And also, if you love driving, or let's say you need space, if you have kids, you know, i3 is kind of small. So it's for your lifestyle. It needs to make sense before you start comparing range versus how much money you spend. I know it's a cool video to make and it's a little cool conversation to have, but that just doesn't really make sense unless you dive into everyone's situation. Nigel says i3 stupid doors. Yes, that's I don't know what they were thinking about breaking up that line of the doors. I thought that, you know, it was kind of agreed upon like 20 years ago that that line has to go straight up a little bit under the curve to have a good looking car. So I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Also, Nigel says Shell charging 59 cents per kilowatt hour. Again, it really depends, because I think those rates will also depend on electricity rates in that area. By the way, Tesla superchargers, when you're being charged for, you know, if you don't have free supercharging, when you're being charged, those rates actually are local to wherever that supercharger is in many cases. So talking about cost of electricity is also tricky because it depends where it's at, and in some cases, what time of the day it is. So that's you know, that's a little tricky as well. George says, you're right, i3 is too ugly, even Fiat looks better. Yeah, that's true. I have to agree. When Fiat is beating you in styling, you know, you might want to rethink or maybe hire different designers. Bharat, I hope pronouncing your name correctly. Oh, they're saying yes, Nissan, the new Nissan is, the Nissan electric van is not available, but I guess you guys are talking about somebody asking a question about the electric van. But by the way, Nissan Leaf is not available in the United States yet until January, and if you want to get that car, you better get in line right now, because I think they have like 10,000 reservations at this point. So if you really want that car, you got to put your deposit right now, I guess. Afiz says, I have driven the Model S on the road trips around Europe and organized the first electric vehicles road trip in the Middle East. When I get home, I always switch to the BMW i3. I'm not really sure what you mean you always switch to BMW i3. So if you can clarify, well, we can talk about it. Predrag says, Fiat 500e, is that Fiat's answer to regulations for electric cars? Yes, that's a compliance car, and a lot of these cars are compliance cars because, you know, and this is something that was good, I guess, on the part of Obama administration here in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, and now in China. All of this is being driven by regulations, and the car companies didn't really want to do much about it until they realized that it can actually work, because Tesla is really kicking their butts, and now Tesla is forcing them into producing better electric cars, where it was the government regulations that made them produce electric cars in the first place. Let's see. John Doe says, I'd buy a model BMW 3 Series with an i3 drivetrain. Well, I'm also assuming with the newer range of 200 plus miles. Yeah, you know, if they're going to have the better technology and the range, the BMW 3 Series can really be a major competitor to Tesla Model 3. And it might happen sooner than we think, though so far BMW has been behind. So I don't know. If they're going to unveil the car in the next couple of months, then I would be concerned if I was Tesla, but still I would pick Model 3 because it's also a little bit cheaper. On my channel, you can find a video where I compare the Model 3, the current one, and the Tesla Model 3, and Tesla Model 3 beats it out of the water if you just compare specs and pricing. So check it out. It's on my channel. Just go to my channel page and search for just a BMW, probably, because that's the only BMW video that I have. Afiz says, I have the i3 with a range extender. Range is almost not an issue. See, well, it's not an issue for you because of how much you drive. It would be an issue for me even with a range extender. So again, this is something that it's a discussion that has to be had within the family because of the situation. We can't just say, you know, not enough range for everybody. But I have to say, you know, in a cold weather, when you have to use air conditioning or heater, you know, this 90, 100, mile range really becomes 70 or 80, and that's just not enough for a lot of people. And that's what I'm saying. Let's see. George says, I like how you're not afraid to call out any other YouTubers like Ben Trevor. You know, oh man, you're gonna get me started on this. Here's the thing. You know, when I started, and well, 5 years ago, I created my first Facebook group that's now about 17,000 members strong. You can check it out. It's called the Tesla Model S Owners club. And you know, everybody was into this for the movement. Everyone was excited about this. And everyone was friends. You know, we would wave even at each other. But I'm also talking about people who were content creators or enthusiasts and everything. It was fine. But I've noticed in the last year or so, as more YouTubers came up, like, you know, Ben of Teslanomics and Trevor, and, you know, Fred of Electrek, I think, you know, and they're bigger channels and bigger publications. I know. I hope I don't turn the same way when I get there myself. But, you know, my community overall between YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff is about 25,000 members strong. So I'm not a, you know, small fish anymore either. But somehow everybody just grew a huge ego and nobody really wants to work with each other anymore. You know, I have done a lot of collabs with some of them. I've done it with Kim and Patrick. Second one was yesterday. I was on James Cook's channel. And okay, I mentioned Kim. I did a video for her. So I've collaborated with a few of them and a few publications, but overall I sense this a weird egotistic sort of environment, and I'm gonna meet most of them at the unveiling, or at least bump into them. And I really hope that we can all kind of come together because we're part of the same movement, and I really would like that everybody would be working together. Like, for example, Ben's having the, I forget what, he's got some sort of online conference coming out, right? And I know for a fact that he's specifically leaving some people out of it and some people he's bringing in, mainly because it's going to benefit his subscriber count and not so much the viewers that are going to be viewing. Now, granted, I have not even applied or asked them about being there, but I know for a fact that there are a few people who were kind of left out on purpose. And I'm thinking, like, listen, even if that person is not going to benefit your subscriber count, maybe you can benefit your viewers that are going to watch, and I think he's charging for it too. So why not get along with everybody and bring them in? And as far as Trevor is concerned, you know, I already mentioned that the fact that his Model 3 walk around, as of course he's got a lot of views, but that was a little unethical as far as just respect for the brand goes. And you know, in the past I've also known he's used some pictures without permission of other people, including mine. And when I asked him not to, he didn't really say anything. So yeah, I don't have a problem calling them out, but you know what I really think? What I really prefer is that we actually get along, do a lot of collabs, do a lot of interviews, and grow this movement as one big movement. Because if you want to pick an enemy, why don't we pick, you know, gas car movement, oil industry as an enemy, rather than trying to figure out, you know, in this tiny little space who's got bigger subscriber count or whatever. We're the same. We're in the same industry. We're pushing for the same revolution. So it's very unfortunate, but I'm very happy that I got along with a few people. You know, like Patrick's been great to me. I'm hoping to do another collab with Kim, hopefully when I meet her. And I've been working with Torque News and even Teslarati a little bit. So I'm hoping we're going to come together rather than just kind of, you know, just almost a competition war between. Anyway, I knew you would get me go on the rant about this, but I hope on the 16th I get to bump into a few of them and hopefully we can do some collabs. But yes, I don't quite agree with some of the things that they've been doing and saying. So yeah, all right. Well, we'll see. But I have to say that even though I don't always agree with them, I do like watching their videos. I'm a fan and a subscriber to all of their channels. So I hope we can just come together. All right, let me move on to the next one. You got me on the rant again. Frank says if i3 was nice and fast, no one would buy normal ICE cars, which cost the same. Just to say, okay, yeah. Listen, and this is, I think, how Tesla is really changing this whole view of electric cars, right? They just made a better looking, faster, better performing, better technology car, and a lot of people are now buying the Model S, for example, and Model X, just because they're better cars, not because they're electric, not because they're saving environment, you know. So that's what I think. Will says Tesla will be building 1,600 Model 3s per week by the 10th of January. Elon is on this 100%. Will, let's not make any more predictions, because I think everything that everyone has ever predicted, including Elon Musk, turned out to be incorrect when it came to Model 3, right? And I would love that. and I hope that happens. But I think we might, we might guess wrong again, and it's going to be a disappointment. But I'm rooting for them, so let's hope so, right? Jackie Farrow is asking, isn't Porsche also developing a charging station on Germany for their electric car? I haven't heard of it, but that doesn't mean that that's not happening. If you don't mind, maybe sending me a link privately or here in the chat room, I'll definitely look into it. They might be, though. Just because they're thinking about it or trying it doesn't really mean it's going to work or going to be successful. A lot goes into it. Bharat Patel is asking when Tesla will sell a pickup truck. Well, again, let's wait for the 16th, because some people are saying that the reason they're calling it as a Tesla truck event and not Tesla semi-truck event, because maybe there will be a mini-me of the semi-truck, and that's going to be the surprise. I don't think so, but it's a possibility. You never know. You never know, because if that would be the case, oh my God, that would definitely put everything back on track for Tesla as far as the Wall Street and everyone's expectations and excitement is concerned. But I don't think it's going to happen. Let's see. Nigel says Model 3 miles ahead of i3, carbon fiber only advantage. Yes, carbon fiber is really the only thing that BMW has over everybody else as far as what the car is made out of. When I interviewed them during the Drive Electric week, what was it, about over a month ago now, and I asked them what's the best feature. That was their best feature, that the car is made out of carbon fiber. I lost that. So it wasn't a navigation system or range or acceleration. So yes, but I mean, I don't think right now there's anything to be compared to the Model 3. The only thing is comparable is Chevy Bolt range, and that's it. So I think we're a long way to go as far as competition for the Model 3. Jan says, I think only 800. Okay, I think you're talking to somebody else. Kareem says, I seen a Tesla Model S for $35,000 pounds. That was 2013. I don't know how much it's in dollars though. It has an autopilot. I heard that the older Teslas, especially the ones without autopilot, have reliability issues. Is this true, and do you think I should buy it? So, earlier models, obviously, when they were just trying to figure out how to make them and still improving, have some reliability problems. So if I were you, I would at least try to buy one that's under warranty, or at least have an extended warranty. So it depends on how cheap you want to buy it, and really you're going to be gambling. But yeah, it's logical, and this really did, I think, numbers supported that, earlier Model S's and Model X's, just like the Model 3 will probably be, when it's going to be sold 3-4 years down the road as a used car, it will have more reliability issues than the current models, because current models are very much improved. And don't forget, Tesla doesn't improve a model every year. They sometimes improve it every month. If they found something that can go better, faster, and be more reliable, they will actually retool that part in-house and put it in there. And that's something that also people don't realize, that that's a breakthrough in the auto industry, where the updates to the car happen as they find them. They might get them in some trouble as far as parts and availability and all that stuff, but with 3D printing, I'm assuming that's not going to be that big of a deal. So yeah, I mean, but on the other hand, if you're buying a used gas car, you're going to have, like BMW or Mercedes, you're going to have reliability problems that are expensive as well. Just remember, there's no transmission to break. There's no oil changes or tune-ups or pistons to be replaced in a Tesla Model S. But it's really up to you. It is a bit of a gamble, but I think if you take it to a Tesla service center and maybe pay the money to inspect it, I think you might be okay. And 2013 is not 2012. 2012 was a tough year, obviously, for them. Frank says, oh, it's the point of view. Jesse and Zach are even more optimistic by anything electric. I think you're doing quite well. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, I actually had a collaboration with them as well. They definitely have a very optimistic view, but I think you have to understand, most channels out there, they are Tesla-related channels. They're just Tesla fans. Like Ben admits that he's on the Tesla side most of the time, and he's a Tesla fan, and that's what his channel is all about. I think there's only other two channels. I think it's called Fully Charged and Transport Evolved with Nikki that are just generally cover electric cars. All of the channel cover electric cars as they relate to Tesla. So yeah, it's no surprise that they're more optimistic, and I think that's why I like watching their videos. Obviously, optimism is a little different than reality, and I try to bring just kind of reality to whoever's watching my channel, and I think there's something to it. Afi says Elon needs to be more realistic with his estimates, better under promise and over deliver. You know, it's funny you're saying that because I literally just said that yesterday, and it's a basic rule of good customer service and good customer satisfaction, right? Under promise and over deliver. And when Elon does the opposite, it hurts the consumer confidence, it hurts the stock. And I agree. I mean, he's doing a lot of phenomenal things. He doesn't have to overreach and overpromise because the other companies do, but he doesn't. And I'd rather have him. And you know, maybe that's what's going to happen at the truck event. Maybe he will tell us about something that we didn't expect, and we will be very excited. So I'm looking forward to it. Dino says, Alex, are you going to attend the Tesla truck unveiling personally? Yes, I am, because now I have to say that I was not given press passes by Tesla, even though I asked 3 times. I understand I'm not MSNBC or whatever, and they also have to invite trucking industry people there, so I get that. I'm going as somebody who referred 5 or more Teslas to them, but I am in touch with their press department, the communication department, and they have. I'm going to make sure that whatever it is that I'm doing there, it's kosher. So if I'm going to go live, it's with their permission and everything. The only thing I'm not going to do is promise them that I'm only going to say positive things. If they're going to tell me that, I'm going to go ahead and do my reporting outside of the location and say whatever it is that I really think. But it looks like they're going to allow me to do the taping, and I should be fine and bring the news to you guys and what I really think about it. Igor is asking, what do you think? Can the new truck make a trip on a single charge from New York to LA? Oh, hell no. I would be surprised if it can make LA to San Francisco, which is about 350, 360 miles, depending where you're going. It's really hard to talk about the semi-truck because it depends on what it is that you're hauling. If you're hauling paper, it's one thing. If you're hauling gold, well, your range is going to suffer. Now, Patrick yesterday, when he was he was helping me co-host this feed yesterday, he said that it also depends on the drag efficiency, and it really depends on how the trailer is made and what the drag efficiency there is. So, and he's right. But definitely New York to LA, there's no way in hell. We're years away from that. As a matter of fact, I'm not really sure if there's a need for that. Though I believe Amazon just patented a drone technology where the drone will meet the car or truck or whatever and recharge it and then fly away. The car or truck would still have to be parked, so it's not going to be like too futuristic, but it is an interesting technology that they just patented. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, but that was something that I just did a story about just last week. Let's see. Will says Tesla will have a 250 to 300 kilowatt hour supercharger next year. No need for anything faster unless it's a big heavy truck. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think the charging technology needs to not so much concentrate on how much power you can pump into the batteries, but how to get and hold that charge and distribute it between all the batteries. There's a capacitor technology that I've heard is getting kind of hot, where you can it's like a separate part of the battery, so it's one of those things who can take the charge real quick, but it has to kind of release it relatively quick as well. So you would actually not be charging the battery, you would be charging the capacitor really quick. It will suck up all this power, all this electricity, and then we'll distribute it into the battery. So I think that's a very interesting technology that might just come to the reality. And you're right, then how many kilowatt hour and how strong the current is of the supercharger may not actually be that important. All right, Afi says Elon needs to be more realistic with his estimates. Yes, I already read that. Dino says, do you have any frustration with the brand or the company Tesla, and stop using the name Tesla as a title of your channel? So yes, I have some frustration with the brand for a few reasons, and I think this is just as a consumer. There are a few things that I thought that they shouldn't have done or whatever. But at the same time, the reason I renamed my channel is because I realized that when I started it, it was all about Tesla, right? Tesla was pretty much the only company doing anything exciting and being on the cutting edge of this. And I now realize that even though this is only 1 year later, we are at the point where a lot of other companies doing a lot of other exciting things, and I didn't want to miss out on that, and I didn't want you guys to miss out on this because this is exciting. I wanted to cover it. You know, there are a lot of Androids coming out to this iPhone that there is Tesla, and of course, I don't really want people to think that this channel is a Tesla fanboy channel because it has Tesla inside of the name. E4Electric is more about electric cars and electric technology in general, and that's what I wanted to sort of expand my channel to, even though I was kind of covering all those topics already. I just think they're getting more exciting, and there's so many things that I wanted to talk about that are now outside of Tesla when it comes to electric cars. But yes, and I also, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit frustrated with just, you know, Tesla, just as far as their communication with, you know, YouTubers in general. I feel like it's getting tougher to be their support and a fan just on the business side as far as just YouTube channel is concerned. You know, like for example, I don't have a press pass for the unveiling event. The only reason I'm going is because I sold their cars. I don't really. I don't know. I just, yes, I'm a little frustrated, but at the same time, let me be very clear. Tesla is by far the best electric car brand in the world. It's by far the best car brand in the world. And Elon Musk is my personal hero. Think of him what you want personally, but he is changing the world, and he's doing it without really having a need. He already had tons of money. He was a billionaire, I believe, anyway, after his PayPal and other ventures. He doesn't have to do this, but he's working his butt off more than any of us, trying to change the world. Don't forget, he's doing SpaceX and a Boring Company and a lot of other artificial intelligence projects. So he's definitely a hero of mine. He's changing the world, and he will always be somebody I admire. So yeah, but yes, some trouble with just Tesla brand on my end, and I think a lot of people's also a little bit, but at the same time, I believe they're leaders, and I just wanted to make sure that this channel is about electric cars in general. So that was the reason for it. But I will still continue reporting fairly about Tesla and other cars. As you know, I wasn't holding back about Tesla even when my channel was called Everything Tesla. Let's see. Afiz is saying the near-term goal for Tesla should be to get the affordable Model 3 to the market, and I would add affordable Model Y to the market, not Autopilot, not the truck. So I agree with the truck. I already said that before, that I just don't think that truck is something that they should have chased. I think they should have reached the biggest market possible, which is, you know, $25,000 to $35,000 cars. I think Model Y is important because a lot of people do like crossover SUVs and SUVs in general, and then they could have gone to the route of the truck. So I was kind of surprised that they went all the way into that industry that's relatively small market. Let's see. I think George is asking, I was wondering why you're not in that TeslaCon conference. I'm glad you changed the channel name. Past years, you're right, many Tesla YouTubers have different goals. Same goes with Zach and Jesse. Well, I'm not at the TeslaCon conference because I wasn't asked, and I really wasn't going to apply. And from what I understand, Ben is the kind of guy that you kind of need to come up to him, kiss his ring, and be invited into his castle. You know, maybe he has a right to do that. He's one of the biggest YouTubers that covers the topic. It's just, I'm just not. I mean, the reason I went to YouTube is because this is an industry where I don't need to kiss anyone's rings. So if he thinks that there is a value in me speaking at the conference, then of course I'll consider it. But so far, I don't think he's going to approach me because he just, that's the way he operates. So and, you know, at the same time, I don't know how successful it's going to be. I originally assumed it was going to be free for everybody, but now I understand you have to pay, and I'm not really sure how comfortable I would be having people pay for this if I'm one of the speakers. So anyway, listen, I wasn't asked, so it really doesn't matter. We'll see what happens. I wish him the best because you know, the bigger this conference is, the more the word spreads around about the electric car movement. So I'm going to root for everything that he does. even though sometimes I don't agree how he does it, because we're on the same team. So I'm going to root for Ben no matter what, and Trevor and Zach and Jesse. Frank says carbon fiber too costly. Yeah, maybe, but that's something that everybody accepted, that BMW did better than everybody else. So I think there's something to it, and they just have to figure out how to make it cheaper. I mean, just like with everything else. Let's see, guys. I'm trying to catch up with all of your comments. Dino is asking, when are you going to show those gorgeous models and electric cars in the new lifestyle photo shoots? You know, I've kind of slowed down with that because apparently not too many people were that interested in the calendar and generally seeing models and Teslas. I have to say 95% of my audience are male, so I thought it was kind of cool to do, especially, you know, I was making it pretty classy, and I thought the cause that I was going to donate it to, and, you know, was pretty good. Earth Justice is one of the most respected organizations, especially now in the Trump era. But somehow those videos weren't really taking off, and I was spending so much time, 30, 40 hours per video. So that was a little tough to do. So I kind of put it on hold. We'll see. And don't forget, you know, in summer, there is no green in California. So we just ran out of places with green to shoot those videos at. But I think I have a good chunk out of there. I'm really proud of the production value. But I'll get back to you on that. Nigel is asking, where are the trucks going to be built? Okay, you know what? That's a good question. I know the batteries are obviously going to be built at the Gigafactory, but I don't know if the truck itself is going to be built at the Fremont factory. Then don't forget, they're not going to start production until late 2019. So I think it's going to depend on how out of space they're going to be at that factory, and if they're going to have other factories, like in maybe one in China, to do that at. So there's no, I don't know, and I don't think they know yet. Nigel says leather seats would be nice in Tesla. Most non-vegetarians don't like plastic fake leather. I have leather seats in my Tesla, and even though I'm an animal lover, I think this is just something that for now we've accepted it. But if it wasn't a premium feature, if it doesn't cost any extra, I think I would just get, you know, non-leather seats as well. I haven't given it enough thought, I have to say, but I think people who are doing this, kudos to them. Kudos to them. Let's see. Russell Satari is asking, what are the chances of a Tesla music stream service as a pre-installed app on the car? Good experience and great new income for Tesla, or too unfamiliar new terrain? Okay, well, first of all, yes, too unfamiliar new terrain and another big project. Streaming services, you know, like, you know, iTunes and TuneIn and stuff like that, Pandora, those are humongous projects with a lot of licensing, with a lot of tech is involved. So I would be really concerned if Tesla starts on yet another project. At the same time, I can't imagine, and you guys, and let me know in the chat here, are not frustrated by what it is offered to us right now, because, you know, Slacker is very much a poor man's version of the Pandora. I mean, how many times I would tell them to play this one song, and then play songs that have nothing to do with that song. Or a lot of times, I just don't like it, and I know a lot of people are frustrated. I would rather have Pandora. And then TuneIn Radio, by the way, a lot of people don't even know those are two different things. There's a Slacker and there's a TuneIn Radio. And TuneIn Radio also has its own problems. I mean, hell, yesterday I think it was down for most of us. Let me know if your TuneIn Radio is back, by the way. And I know they've been having problems for a while. And just the fact that there's a radio and a Slacker and a TuneIn, and they're just labeled as Slacker and TuneIn. They're not even labeled where we can understand what is the difference. I would definitely prefer if they would kind of put it all together, use better third-party services, so maybe go with Pandora, but put their own interface on it so it kind of integrates everything. Because even when you favor some of those stations, you have a block of stations from Slacker, and then block of stations from TuneIn, but then like podcasts are part of the radio stations of TuneIn. So when I'm going through the radio stations and I'm trying to listen to, in my case, I listen to a lot of radio stations from Russia. So I go through them, and then all of a sudden, when I'm at the end of the lineup, it goes back to my podcasts that have nothing to do with Russian music or whatever. So it's really annoying, and the interface is not very good. So yes, I wish they will start doing something different, something with a better user interface and a better service, but no, I really don't want them to go yet into another direction. I know they would do an amazing job, but I really don't want them to go into another direction and spread themselves even thinner. I mean, how late do you want to wait for your Model 3? You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I'll pass on that. Will says, once Tesla has the bottlenecks resolved, the production numbers will jump 10% per day. By July, they'll be easily doing 7,000 Model 3s per week. You know what? I don't really disagree with that. I mean, it's really a matter of ramping up, and we all know that sooner or later they get it right. And it looks like once they figure out the automation, right? Once they build this fully automated process, then it will go really quickly, really smoothly. The reason they're having problems right now, it's super I won't say overcomplicated, but very much complicated process of having everything automated that they've never done for the Model S or the Model X, and I don't think any other manufacturer has. So all these problems, once they're resolved, yeah, they're going to be cracking them out really, really quick, and I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Nigel says, if he could deliver using Falcon 9 would be different. Okay, that's true. Let's see. I'm just struggling to catch up with your comments, guys. Kareem is asking, do you think in the future Tesla will let other car manufacturers use the superchargers with a cost? Hell no. I mean, definitely not in the near future, because they're struggling to service the Tesla cars right now, especially here. I mean, I was doing these interviews at the superchargers here in Mountain View, and I kid you not, there were 20 Teslas in line for most of the day, and I spent 3 hours there, and I have some video of that. So no, I hope they don't. And you know, with more Model 3s and Model S and X's, especially here in Silicon Valley, they're not building superchargers as fast as they're going to be building Model 3s. So no, I hope they don't. Though they might have to if there's a law, or if they get sued for some sort of monopoly stuff. But that's probably going to take years anyway. Let's see. Nigel says, in Europe, a Leaf and Zoe, the drivers because price and distance factors different. Yeah, you're right. In Europe, you don't have to have as big of a range because it's just a more compact country, you know, continent with compact countries. And here in America, we're like really big distances, and we have to drive really long miles to get to even a grocery store. So yes, I can see how smaller range cars can do much better in Europe, just because there's not as much of a need for a longer range. Dino says, thank you for the long and honest answer about the use of the name in Tesla and your thoughts about Elon and the company. Yeah, you're welcome. You know, I'm definitely being honest about it, and you know, I hope things will be different. I am trying to maintain a good relationship with Tesla, but I'm also trying to maintain good relationship with other companies. Like, I feel like I have a good relationship now with Nissan. Now this will be my 3rd video, and they gave me the car to drive. I also have a good relationship with Lucid Air. I did another segment on them when they let me do a full, you know, walk around of their car. And you know, it's kind of hard to, you know, whenever I approached them back in the day when my channel was called Everything Tesla, you know, they looked at me funny because they're like, well, this Tesla fanboy is gonna crap on us. I mean, kudos for them to still let me do my report, but I think my channel name now is not gonna scare as many of them away as possible. And also with sponsors, you know, I want my sponsors to benefit all of my viewers. And if, you know, my sponsor right now, EVNX, right, and it's for Tesla accessories, but in the future, I want to have sponsors that are good for everybody who drives electric cars. Maybe somebody who makes charging stations or solar panels and stuff like that. So it's for that reason as well. I mean, I'd love to make a living on this channel someday, but at the same time, I would like to provide a service even with my sponsors to my entire audience, because that's just how it works, right? Let's see. Will is asking, can you make us a prediction? Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I think making predictions is just dangerous, because this is just, it's crazy how this world of Tesla and electric cars right now works. But can you make us predictions for the HGV? Will the Tesla HGV be 10-wheel drive, 12-wheel drive, or 14-wheel drive? I'm gonna assume that it's gonna have 4 motors, I would say. I think that would be probably reasonable, but I don't know. People have speculated it's gonna have a lot of them, like a dozen of them. So no, I don't want to make a prediction, because I just don't understand fully how electric car drivetrains work in general, and especially ones for the truck in specifically. in particular. So it would be silly of me to make predictions, but I'm gonna guess at least 4. Let's see. Fiz is asking, what do you think Elon should step down as a CEO of Tesla? Whoa. I believe he's still running Tesla as a startup. For Tesla to mature, I believe a new CEO is. Why not ask when will Facebook Zuckerberg step down? He probably won't. It's his baby. And no matter how bad of a CEO he is, or bad he is for the product Zuckerberg is, which I think he might be, the company is doing great, and it's his baby. If you remember, Tesla was almost sold to Google. Elon Musk pretty much sold it, I think, for $9 billion. And the only reason it never went through was because Elon wanted to make sure that part of the contract is that he stays on board and makes all of the decisions pretty much single-handedly through 2020 to make sure that Model 3 sees the light of the day and becomes a mass production car. And that was something, I guess, they disagreed on. So even when Elon was going to sell Tesla, he still wanted to make sure to have the control. So I don't see him losing control of it or giving it up anytime soon, unless he's being forced out like Steve Jobs was by the board. And I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Let's see. Nigel says fuel cost range, not just as important, charge infrastructure and availability. I agree with that. He also says CD player would be nice in a Tesla or CD player. To be honest, I don't even remember last time I used the CD just as a media. So I don't know. In my Model S, I was kind of proud that it doesn't have a CD player because it's a next generation car and USB drives and Bluetooth. So yeah, no, I think it's outgoing technology. It would be weird to have it in a high-tech cars like Tesla or just electric cars in general. Dino says, I believe many people want to know more about EV Annex. When are you going to show us the history of EV Annex? Well, I'm not really sure if there's a history per se, but EV Annex is a company that makes aftermarket accessories. I love the fact that they're my sponsors because I'm a fan and I use them on both of my Teslas. And you can do a lot of things with them, from little hooks, right, that you can put in. If your Tesla has a roof, you can put them in there so you can have hooks for your clothes. To, I believe now they offer the front end refresh, where your older version of Model S now is going to look like a newer version of Model S. So and everything in between. And I have their center console. I have their red calipers on the brakes. And so yeah, no, I really like them, and they truly been a company I turn to for doing different things and adding different things for my Model S. But that's pretty much it. I mean, you go to their website, evannex.com. Their channel is linked from the home page of my channel as well. And if you have a Tesla, I mean, I think you will find some useful things there. If you want a coupon, I have a 10% off on the purchase of over 100. So just contact me personally. I'll let you have it, and you can shop there if you want. But I don't want to push their products. I want people to know about them, but I think people will make their decisions on what they want to buy if they check them out. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. Nigel says, love the Jag, but superchargers needed. Yes, the new Jag, I don't have a picture anymore right now available to me. But yeah, the new Jaguar looks really good. The I-Pace, I'm assuming you're saying they're testing it now. I did a couple of stories about that. They're now being caught prototypes driving around London and I think Hungary even. So that's coming. That's coming in about a year, and that's going to be making a big splash. But at the same time, the charging network, if it doesn't catch up by then, which it might not, will definitely be a problem. George says, you never said something about you like where you from, how got an electric car. So okay, I mean, I can talk a little bit about it, George. So I'm originally from Russia. I've been here for 25 years. My 25-year anniversary coming to America is this December 25th. Yes, Christmas. So the reason I got electric cars was kind of accidental, because I wanted, 5 years ago I was shopping for a car, 6 years actually now, and I just wasn't happy with what was out there. I had a 7 Series and I had an S-Class and I had a Jag, and just nothing felt fresh. Everything felt like they had a 10-year-old technology in there. And a friend of mine's son said, hey Alex, why don't you check out this Tesla car? And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Get out of here, kid. He was like 12 years old. He was like, I was like, dude, I'm not buying a Roadster. It makes no sense. It's too expensive. He's like, no. There's a four-door sedan that just came out with. Go check it out. I didn't really think anything of it, but I accidentally passed by a Tesla showroom here at Santana Row in San Jose, and I was like, okay, let me check it out. And as soon as I walked in, I saw the car, I saw the tech. Remember, this was 2012, early 2012. And what it can do back then, there was an autopilot conversations. I don't even think I was talking about superchargers. I just looked at the car, I was like, oh my God, every single technology that's available is now put together as it should. Everything that's missing all of these other cars I'm looking at, and I just completely fell in love with this. I put my $5,000 down, and I ended up being one of the first 3,000 Model S owners in the world. Only 3,000 made in 2012. I had my car signed by Elon Musk, actually. I kept the visor that he signed. It's on my wall here in my studio. And after that, I fell in love with the fact that, my generation, I'm 40 years old, my Generation X, I guess we're called, we haven't done crap for this world. I feel like every generation contributed something. And don't forget, I grew up in Russia where all of our grandmothers and grandfathers fought in the World War II. So the standards are kind of high. And so I felt we have done nothing about it. And I thought, you know what? I know we're trying to not have our soldiers killed and fight all these wars, because of our oil interests somewhere in the Middle East. And I don't care what your political views are. We're there because our interests are in oil. So if we can just not do that, and the way to do it is obviously not through government, because our government hasn't done anything about it, but it is through making this amazing car that people will buy no matter what. People will buy it because it's a better car than the gas car. And so for them, the electric versus gas is going to be a moot point. But for the world, it's going to be a greater good for us not going out there and fighting with people who don't really want us there, who, you have to understand that the view of the Middle East and in Europe is that we're there for their oil, and we don't care about their lives or their lifestyle and so forth, and they just hate us. So if we can our generation can smooth that problem out and maybe make a world a more peaceful place, and Middle East is a good place to start for that, I thought that would be a great thing. Now, it's also good for the environment. Again, I definitely think it's great for the environment. I'm a big environmental protection guy. At the same time, I think the global warming or climate change, whatever, people have done a really crappy job making their case. So I'm not saying that the global warming is the reason why I support this. I support it for generally environment, because you know what? If you're driving a car and it burns crap inside of the car and puts whatever's out there, the CO2 and all the burned crap from the oil out in the atmosphere, sooner or later it's not going to be good. I don't care if it's a weather change or if it's asthma and cancer that's related to lungs, like in Beijing and a lot of in LA, where you can't even see the air. Meaning you can see the air, you can't see the downtown. That's a problem, and if we can solve that problem by this awesome technology, I thought it was wow. I want to be part of it, and I know it was risky. I know I could have put that $5,000 down and never see it again, or I could have bought a car and it would go belly up like Fisker did and maybe not have support and everything. But I was willing to do that. I was willing to risk. I also invested in the stock because I thought that was a great thing to do. And then after that, I started volunteering at different health fairs and Earth Days and electric car days, and letting my $90,000 car stepped on by a bunch of kids just so people can check it out, because I wanted everybody to know how amazing this car is. I always say that the difference between us Tesla owners and like Ferrari or Rolls-Royce owners, if you own a Ferrari, you want to be the only one in a 10-mile radius to own a Ferrari. If you own a Tesla, you want everybody around you to own a Tesla. And I think that's such a great concept, right? And I just continually did this over and over and over again. And one of my biggest critics was my coworker back in the day, who thought I was a complete idiot going into all of this. And guess what? This is the guy who now works for Tesla, has a Model X, Model X. He has a Powerwall in his house and a solar batteries from Tesla. So somebody who was a big hater of mine because of that is now a huge fan and works for them and actually a pretty big contributor to them. And I'm really very, very proud of him. So spreading the word was just an amazing. That's how I got into it. And that's what I just love doing is, I mean, now I'm doing this live feeds. Holy crap, I've been going on for like, is this really an hour and a half? Oh my God. Yeah, so I mean, I can't stop. I just love talking about it and spreading the word. I just love it. So thank you for asking me about where I come from and how my passion kind of came around. And I'd love to know what it is that you guys, why did you fall in love with Tesla and with the Tesla technology? So please go ahead and try to type it into the chat. If you're watching it on a replay, I'd love to hear that as well. So I just love hearing stories. I have interviews with a lot of Model S and Model X owners that I just did at the Supercharger, so I'm going to post it as soon as I can edit it. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I'm really behind. Jan says, okay, he's talking to Dino. Karim says, UK, United Kingdom Teslas come with Spotify. Oh yes, that's right. I did know that, and it's much better service. It works very well, he says. Why does the US Teslas not have Spotify? You know, that's a question for Tesla. I'm going to assume it's nothing but the marketing and licensing deal at this point. I really hope that, just like I said, that they replace it with something more user-friendly at the very least, but something just a better quality service than Slacker and TuneIn. Nigel says, in Ireland, north and south, charging free, but only 2 superchargers, one in the middle of nowhere. Free charging at present, but actually mostly 22. Yeah, you know, I've heard that there is like obviously there's more work to be done as far as superchargers are concerned and how many superchargers there are. I mean, it's not enough where you're at, and you know what? It's not enough where I'm at. And even though I just passed by 2 supercharging locations that are like seriously like half a mile away from each other with like 20 stalls, and it's still not enough. So they need to crack those out faster, including destination chargers. I think the bottleneck is going to be there very soon once the Model 3 bottleneck is resolved and they're driving all over the place. Nigel says Model S due for an internal refresh. Yes, I'm a little bit scared for what's going to be, but I hope they answer some of the requests from current owners to make it a little bit more luxury, because it is a luxury car. It's a luxury car price. But the minimalistic look inside, I think people are having a hard time thinking that it just looks cheap, even though the material is actually not bad at all. Pretty high quality, the stitching on the leather and everything, and the quality of the leather in the seats. So I hope they're going to pimp it up a little bit as far as luxury is concerned. But we don't know when it's going to happen. And you know, I have a few sources at Tesla that I haven't heard from as far as that is concerned. So Igor says, Privet. Privet, Igor. That's in Russian, saying hi. I saw you saying something last time, but I just never caught up to that comment. Igor, where are you from? Let me know. And where do you live now? I am in San Jose. I am originally from Moscow. Afiz says, what do you think of the Mercedes EV and the new Jag I-Pace? Jag I-Pace, awesome. I love the way it looks. If they're promising that the range is going to be 220 miles, what they're promising, hell, man, that's going to be one of the. I would look twice at. I mean, my lease is over, is ending in next October. If Jag I-Pace is available, I may consider it. I mean, we have 2 Model S's right now. I may consider going for that. We'll see what happens. I mean, the charging networks need to step up and have level 3, and we'll see how many EVGos are out there so I can do level 3. And even if I-Pace has level 3, actually, I don't even know if it does. If it doesn't, I'm not interested. But yeah, a Mercedes EV, you know what? I don't think they really have anything on for sure right now. Yes, they said they're going to put a lot of money into it. They said that these are the prototypes, but they're not anywhere near actually making one. Where Jaguar is, and that car is supposedly available this time next year. So I'm looking forward to that one, actually. And I should have a picture of it. I just didn't have it with me right now to show you guys. Let's see. Tesla one-pedal driving, not my scene, says Nigel. You know, I tried Nissan Leaf yesterday, and I told you guys, and that was actually not bad. I enjoyed it. I thought it was complete BS, but I kind of enjoyed it. You have to time it correctly to where you want to stop, And once I got it correctly, that was kind of cool. The only thing I would wish that I would have is an adjustment of how hard it brakes when you let the accelerator pedal go. But I have to say, I mean, they kind of turned me around on that e-pedal thing. So that might be something you might want to check into as well. Let's see. You guys are talking between yourself. Dino suggests that I should interview and make a video about EV Annex. Well, yes. First of all, I already have a video with EV Annex. It's like top 5 products that they have that would make good gifts for people who own Teslas. So check it out. It's on my feed. I will make another video as soon as as soon as I have time. I have so much footage in the queue to edit, which I'm hoping to spend the rest of the day today doing. Actually, I was going to go to the beach right now, but because we've been talking for a while, I think that's that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do more videos about their products because their products are really, really cool. And I really want to do the videos about the products that I'm using. So when I'm presenting it to you guys, it's not a sales pitch. It's something that I really can genuinely tell you and recommend you and to use. So otherwise, it just doesn't work for me. I don't want to sponsor or push products that I don't believe in. And by the way, the description of this video has a link to the Amazon products that I think EV users, not just Tesla users, drivers would enjoy. So check that out, and I have a video out about that as well. Nigel says you should talk to Donald Trump. I'm going to stop you right there. That's never going to happen, ever. So, and I'm not really sure if I want to. I just, if I ever had a chance to sit down with Donald Trump and talk to him, I'm not really sure if it's going to be a good interview because I don't feel like he gives honest answers. Like, yeah, I can ask him 1,000 different questions and he just won't give me an honest answer. And then, therefore, why have an interview if you can't really get them? So yeah, I'll pass, I think. Igor says, I'm in Moldova and we have only one Tesla. Yeah, and I believe you. My first girlfriend was from Moldova. Beautiful, beautiful country. I've never been there, but just for those of you guys who are in America, Moldova is kind of like a Napa, well, whatever's left of it right now, like Napa Valley. A lot of wineries and just beautiful countryside. All right, well, nice meeting you, Igor. And you guys let me know where you guys are watching from. Let me know where you're at in the world so I can shout you out. I am myself in Santa Clara, California. Right, that's right next to San Jose. Didn't ask, how did your professional life begin? I'll maybe do a little bit more about my life story, and I don't want to bore you guys because it's really talking about electric cars. I appreciate it, though. I used to have a TV show when I was a kid on a public access channel, and it was free, and I needed to do a website for it because the websites were a thing back then in 1996. And I created a website for my TV show, and people loved it, and I started getting contracts. People paid me money to do websites, and then that's how I became a user interface designer, and now I'm a UX designer for a Fortune 100 company, and I love it. Let's see. Will is asking, do you believe it is the perfect time in 2018 for Tesla to expand into India and begin to build out a supercharger network? 1.2 billion people and big economy. That's, Tesla has considered it actually this year, and they decided to wait for at least another year simply because of infrastructure. India has a tough infrastructure. As you probably know if you're from there, if you visited, the electricity is not even always on in regular in the regular towns. And it's, you need the infrastructure because you need more power, a lot of power to charge these cars. And if people can't even have lights on, how they're going to charge their cars? Of course, another question is about buying power. It's not a lot of people are rich in India. Even people who work in the tech industry there, Tesla is not an easy car to afford. So I think because of those two reasons, the infrastructure and just the buying power, they're going to wait a little bit longer. But sorry, I'm getting a text message. I want to make sure that it's not because my live stream is bad. Okay, all right. So I guess my live stream is okay. Let's see. So yes, India is not going to happen for a while, but I think they will go there because you're right. Lots of people, lots of potential buyers, but they need to be a little bit more sure. And by the way, the last thing I mentioned, Indian government regulations are maybe not as good as Tesla would want it, but as you can see, the tackle that question was China, and I think they can work it out. All right. Dirk says, I'm not a car guy. However, the Model 3 is the first car I'm really fond of. The specs are great. The only worry is that more than 6 month waiting time when damaged. Is it improving now? Well, okay, so yes, it's tough to when you have a problem, especially if it's like an accident, you do have to wait for a while, but now it is getting better. You know, yeah, I have to say that is, well, try not to get into car accidents. Unfortunately, I had 3. None of them were my fault, but my Model 3 took a while to fix. You can get lucky where they will give you a loaner, but the thing is really not the insurance. It's not the dealers, not the Tesla service center's thing to give you a loaner. You know, because really you're not even using them for the repairs. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to get a gas car, drive it around, and hoping that the other insurance company would reimburse you. Every time that happened, I did get reimbursement, but you're right. It is a bit of a problem to wait for it. But again, how often do you get in a car accident? I think I've been extremely unlucky getting into 3 in the last 5 years. And it was about 2 months total of my car being between those 3 incidents in the shop. And it is what it is, man. I agree with you. Yes, it kind of sucks that it's a 6 months wait, maybe even longer, but I think that car is going to be very much worth it. If you don't want to wait, get yourself a used Model S. I think you'll enjoy it. It won't depreciate that much since you're buying it used. And that way you will be ready to take delivery of your Model 3. So that's another option that I've been recommending people. Let's see. Ken's 300 says, spending on chargers will ramp up in cadence with Model 3 production, having to sell some Model 3s to pay for the rollout. You're right, and that's what I think Tesla is trying to do. They are saying that they're going to before they start reinvesting heavily, they want to start making money on the Model 3s first, and I understand because they only have so much cash. I think they'll only have $1 billion left at the end of the year. Right now they have a little bit under $3 billion in the bank. So I understand that, and it's perfectly understandable. And don't forget, Model 3 owners will have to pay for supercharging, so not as many of them will probably do it. And I really hope that they will start cutting down on people who are casually charging at the superchargers, you know, because it's close or whatever. I mean, I was doing interviews at the superchargers, and every other person who I talk to says, oh, I live around the corner. I'm just supercharging here for faster or because I don't have it at my home or whatever. So I really hope they either cut down on that or start charging. If you are supercharging within 30 miles or 50 miles of your home, then you got to pay. Or if you're using the supercharger more than once a week, you have to pay. So I hope they cut down on that. But nevertheless, they need to build more, especially here in Silicon Valley, and especially in the area like Ireland and Iceland, actually, where they don't have that many or any at all. Let's see. Next, George says, why not make Patreon to support more EV reviews on your channel? Well, right now, I'm not sure about that because I only believe in people paying through Patreon if you're providing an extra information and extra service for them. Right now, all of the videos that I'm making are going live or going on my channel, and you guys are getting them for free. If I will think about it, I have thought about it before, and I appreciate the advice again, but Patreon, I will need to think of some sort of a series of the videos that I can make for you guys that will be worth the money for you to pay. Though my preference would be to just find a sponsor like EV Annex and other sponsors that will provide the service and choices for you guys as my viewers, but at the same time, pay me to be able to make a living on it. And imagine how much better I can get at this damn thing if this is my full-time job, because you know my full-time job is one thing, and then I spend about 40 more hours per week on this channel to make the videos. But point taken, I will consider it, but I want to make sure that I have quality premium service or videos for you guys if I was going to charge for that at the Patreon website. So that is that's something that I'm definitely thinking about. If you excuse me, I have to send a message. Sorry about that. Okay, now let's see. Karim says Donald Trump owns a Tesla Roadster, no joke. Well, right now, maybe, but I'm assuming he owns like 1,000 different cars, right? So that's not something that I would be surprised on. But I don't think he owns it because he loves Tesla or because he supports an electric car movement or green energy or environment. I think we all know that's not true. Freezy V says, I believe Tesla needs to collaborate with the dealer network to ensure they can meet the service demands that will follow when the Model 3 is widespread. That's not a bad idea, but at the same time, they can also ease the rules of the body shops that they certify to fix the Teslas, right? I think, and allow third-party shops to maybe do some of the services for them. But they are expanding. First of all, I have to give kudos to them. They are expanding. The service was kind of bad a couple of years ago, but now it's coming around. Don't forget, they've now launched a fleet of mobile vans. So I was already a customer once, and it's great. You basically don't even have to get out of your office or your house. They get there, they can open the car, or you can open the car for them, they fix it, and they leave. This is just great. So they're doing much better, and they're saying that 80%, I think, of all services can be done remotely, meaning with their mobile services. So that means that less and less people need to actually go to service centers, so therefore the service center load will be less. So I'm totally supportive of that. I think their service is getting better. I was a huge critic a couple of years ago, even a year ago, but now I am becoming actually a big fan. Let's see. I'm just still scrolling through comments. Okay, Joachim says he is from Sweden. Let's see, someone's from England, Slovakia. Wow, people are watching all over the world. This is pretty cool. Isn't that cool that we have this community that's connecting us with this cool technology and either the love for green energy or environment or just world peace? I hate to sound like a contestant of the beauty pageant, but world peace, guys. We were part of that. Lucas says he is in London, but originally from Poland. That's really cool. Let's see, George, this is a record for you on your YouTube stream, isn't it? Yes, it is. I can't believe it's almost 2 hours. As a matter of fact, my girlfriend is at the door trying to get in, but because I have a security system on, she cannot. That's why I had to reply to my phone. So I'm going to be wrapping up pretty soon. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell her to give me another 15 minutes because I don't want to get up and leave the stream. But yeah, I'll be wrapping it up soon, and I'm actually probably going to cut this down to a smaller video so people can just watch the first part of it. But I gotta tell you guys, I'm having a time of my life talking to you. This is what I wanted to do for a long time because nothing energizes me and gets me excited more than talking to other Tesla and electric car fans, because I feel like this is kind of a special cult that we have. All we're missing is Nikes. Let's see, what is the next? I'll take a few more questions and comments and stuff like that, and I'm going to wrap it up. But of course, you guys are welcome to comment in the comment section once the video is reposted. Nigel says, does the US have an AC charging anywhere? Renault Zoe, okay. I don't know. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Let's see, Kareem says, I still don't forgive you after the Apple buys Tesla video prank. Yes, Kareem. I probably should have posted on April 1st, but I did make a video, and you can see it on my channel. I basically created a fake newscast, like if I was to do a newscast if Apple was to buy Tesla. And I'm not a big Apple fan already, and I know there were rumors back in the day. And I just thought it would be funny to make a video and like I'm seriously reporting on this news. And I guess people didn't really get a joke. I thought you could easily tell 10 seconds into that video, but I think some people took it seriously and they got a little bit upset with me because I guess they like peed their pants and really thought that Apple bought Tesla. But if you're interested, it's like a 5-minute video on my channel. Go into my channel homepage and just type Apple in a search, and you will be able to see it. I thought it was a funny video, but you be the judge. Sorry about that if I owe you a payment for a laundry bill. Okay, Dino says, did you find the people who broke the window of your car? No. So I made a video about it. They will never find those people. And as a matter of fact, there was another person on in the Facebook group that I have for the Model S owners, and that guy also got them on his dash cam. So we both have dash cam footages of the same people breaking into our cars. But you know, they're not gonna find them. I mean, it was dark. They were wearing hoodies. You know, I have $100 deductible and I got it all taken care of. But I did make a video out of it, and if you guys are interested in how to avoid your car being broken into, you know, and I based it a lot on this interview with a former car thief. What are the things that you can do to make sure that doesn't really happen to you? At least definitely lower your chances of that. Now, I have to say, the way they're doing it with Teslas is they break a small window, that second tiny little window in your passenger door, and what they do is it's just big enough for them to reach to the seat handle to lower it, to bring it back, and that way they can see what's in your trunk. And if they don't see anything, they'll bail. Like in my case, they bail. But the other person that I'm talking about, he had like his laptop or whatever, then they go and break into your other window and they steal that stuff. So if you kind of, one of the ways, and by the way, I have tinted windows, so that's another problem, or for me, not them, obviously. So if you leave in your car, and you know, watch my video, but one of the things is if you're leaving your Tesla out there, you might want to actually make sure that they can see into the trunk that there is nothing there, because that will, and that's all they're interested in. I have a dash cam, I have a spare cell phone in my glove compartment. They took none of that. They were just specifically interested in getting into the trunk. And by the way, all car thieves, at least all good car thieves, will tell you that they consider that they only have 30 to 60 seconds to commit the crime, and after that they'll, you know, they're going to be watched, or some people can interfere and stuff like that. So, you know, whatever it is that's easy to steal within 30 to 60 seconds, they will. But if it's somewhere in a frunk or whatever, then it's much harder. So I recommend that just watch my video. I mean, I really put a lot of effort into it, so you guys can, you don't have to go through what I did. Let's see. Mitchell says, hi, Alex, amazing electric channel. Thank you so much. Welcome. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. If you haven't, please click on that subscribe button down there. Fizzy EV says, I live in London. I find a lot of people are watching my channel from Great Britain. Hi from Canada, Porchy Boy. Fizzy EV also says, love your channel. Thank you so much. We should collaborate. I like your impartial views on EVs. Absolutely. Hit me up on Facebook. I have a page, facebook.com/E4Electric. You know, I have now ability to have guests on my show. Maybe we can hang out together and do this together one day. Nigel says, timing today is best for Europe. Well, I've been trying to figure something out, and I think 12 noon here is a good time, because I see so many people are watching throughout this whole 2-hour segment. But at the same time, you know, I have a full-time job, so the earliest I can do on weeknights is 7 p.m. and I think that's what I'm going to stick with. However, I am thinking maybe doing a 12 noon quick lunch, you know, live stream, just going home really quick and doing it live, and see if that changes everything. I do want to reach as many of you as possible, because I love talking to you guys. So yes, thank you for letting me know, but I will try to find different times for different days. And I also play hockey and soccer, and my hockey and soccer times, I'm in the league, so they give us the times of each game on daily basis. So I can't always commit to the same time, but I will promise I will come up with a relatively regular schedule doing this every day. But every time, you can go to my channel's homepage and you will see when my next telecast is going to be. Jan says, thanks for your time. No, thank you for your time, because I cannot do it without you guys. It would be as much fun. It would just be me talking to a camera. Patty Lacey says, oh, hi, how are you, Patty? I see you participate in my comments a lot. Thank you so much. You kind of became regular, and I'm glad you're in the chat room right now. How are you? You're saying, I thought the headline was the truth because of your level of honesty, but your facts were right or were not right? I'm hoping were right. Yeah, if you remember, the title of this video originally and right now is this the worst week for electric cars? I say yes, but I don't think it's as bad. And by the way, we're just talking about worst week in 2017. Let's say, by the way, let me know, guys, should I cut this whole, you know, almost 2-hour live stream to 15 minutes, the first, and repost, or do you think I should just post the whole damn thing for 2 hours. So let me know what you guys think. And by the way, thank you for hanging out with me for this long. I have not even had anything to eat. My mom is probably really worried because I was promising to my parents to go out have lunch with them at like 1. So I'm sure they're not very happy, but I will make it right. Will is asking, do you plan to do a special show for the 16th of November for the reveal? Yes. So I'm gonna stream live. I'm going to stream live maybe a couple of times before and after. So that's not going to be the best quality. It's just going to be using my phone, and those don't always go well. But all of the footage I'm going to get, I'm going to fly back the next day, and I will have it for you guys as soon as I can, which is probably going to be 24 hours after the event. But I will have a couple of live feeds using my phone before and after. That's what I'm hoping. So let's see. Mitchell says, I wish that the Model 3 had locking rear seat backs. They will change things around. I mean, as you know, even with Model X, they made so many changes based on customer feedback. So if a lot of people are looking for the same feature as you are, a lot of times they will do it. And that goes back to what I'm saying, is that a lot of their retooling tools are live in the factory, and they can do things relatively quickly, come up with a new part and a new feature within a month sometimes. Let's see. Patty says, I've seen a drone protecting someone's Tesla that doesn't fly into any cars. Not really sure what that means. Maybe you can qualify. Sorry, let me move on to the next one. Kareem says, do you think Autopilot will be used as a dash cams feature in the future updates? I really hope so, because I have a dash cams on both of my cars. I think it's a must. I also have a video about it, but I think it's a must feature for any car. But we have all these cameras on board that we don't have access to. And yes, I would love that feature if Tesla will actually make that footage, even though it's black and white, available for recording either in the car or somewhere in a cloud. And because that would be huge. I mean, I spent what, $600 on my cameras in installation for both cars, and they're not even that good. So I really would love that feature. And of course, you can see it almost 360 from those cameras. They can work when you are not at the car. So it's almost like a security system. So yeah, I would love that feature. Thank you for that question, Kareem. Let's see. Mitchell says Model 3 only needs a 12-volt connection to open the frunk. That is correct. There is a 12-volt battery on all of the Teslas, by the way. They're responsible for some minor functions, and sometimes you'll get a light saying, hey, you need to change your battery, and you go like, oh, whoa, what do you mean I have to change my battery? I don't have $20,000. They actually mean a 12-volt battery there. That happened to me once already. Nigel is asking what my daytime job is. I am a user experience designer for a Fortune 100 company. So that's what I do and I love. So it's kind of like a web designer with a good knowledge of psychology and human behavior, I guess. Let's see. Post the whole thing, please, says Mitchell. I might just as well, because it's going to take a while for it to process. But Kareem says, edit the video with your 10 favorite questions. As soon as someone sees 2 hours, they will skip it. I might agree with that. So we'll see. I might just post this video as is, but next time we do this, I will cut it down. Or I will just post a shorter video of this video as a separate upload. Maybe I'll do that. Anyway, all right. Guys, I really have to go now. Thank you so much for joining me. This was really a pleasure to hang out with you. I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me. This was so much fun. I now look forward to every single feed that I do. So thank you for joining me. I will see you guys next time. And remember to stay charged.